Cam Scales, former professional basketball player. Our St. Louis crowd obviously knows him as an LHS legend. You've played college hoops as well. Let's just, before we dive into some hosting duties, as we will do here on Winging It, Cam, great to get you on and kind of talk about your basketball career.
So, thanks for having me on. First of all, this is great. I love listening to you guys and watching you guys on YouTube, so it's great.
Appreciate it.
Started playing basketball when I was 5. I won't give you the whole elementary, middle school spiel; is too long. I played everywhere, went to AAU nationals, did all that. But so fun fact, actually, with Coach Allen and Coach Landwehr, who aren't coaches there at Lafayette anymore. First time I actually was introduced to them was when I was in 8th grade, and I used to go to the camps. And the camps at Lafayette were okay; they weren't the most challenging, but they would always make me play up a year. And
Nice.
so all week you would do drills and do stuff, but the only 5-on-5 action you really got was on Friday for their little like all-star game when like everybody, elementary through high school, everybody gets in. And so the game went to overtime or something like that, and I'm playing up in age with like the older kids. So like everybody my age had like gone back to the sidelines and they like let me stay on the court. And so I think it was in them going to like sudden death, and we had an inbounds play, and I kind of just like disregarded the play, got caught the ball in the corner, shot a like contested three for the win, and I won it. And it was just like one of those like weird moments that was like all the little kids came up running to me. I was like, this is so hilarious because I'm like, this is not a big deal at all, but everybody knew about it. But Lamer and Allen were running the camps, and they kind of came up to me and were like, we think can be a really good player for us and all that. So it gave me a little bit of a confidence boost. Like, okay, at least the varsity coaches know.
Sure.
So then freshman year, I freshman tryouts actually, which is kind of like after football season with Jack. Remember that at what was it, Rockwood Valley or something like that. I think
Got
I,
cut and broke my ankle, but that's a different story.
I think I was there for one day of the tryout at the freshman level, and then they brought myself and Garrett Steins up
Oh, yeah.
uh, for the rest of the tryouts for JV. So I'm like, okay, I'll be playing JV my freshman year, and obviously Evan and all of you guys were up, whatever. And so that right there was cool. I wanted to play varsity as a freshman. Obviously, I wasn't going to. I was too small. I don't even think I was good enough yet. I think I could have like sat the bench maybe, but they had a good team that year. And so pretty much after my sophomore year of AAU was kind of like when everything kind of started rolling a little bit more. I started getting more athletic. I was growing more and interest was coming. And so by the time my senior year came around, I had some interest in a lot of places, but I wasn't fully healthy and I didn't have the looks that I nearly necessarily wanted, I should say. And so then I go JUCO for a year, and then long story happens, end up not being super healthy, and then some years go by, end up playing football, and then so I make my way back to Lindenwood playing football, join the basketball team, and then kind of from there is kind of just when a different direction of my college career went, and started playing basketball, and then ended at Lindenwood, graduated, did one more bonus year because of COVID at Maryville,
Right.
which and then after that it was kind of like I had to make something, out of nothing kind of because I'm already playing Division 2, and it's not like my team went all the way to the national tournament. I had all these eyes on me. So I'm going to different camps and stuff and these pro showcases, and I'm doing well in them, but I'm not really getting the results that I would want. And a lot of these camps and exposure camps are, you pay a bunch of money and you go, and if do well, then you might get a look. And if not, then oh well, they just got 40 or 50 guys to pay $340 a piece. It's just nice
Yeah.
little. So I'm literally like working on the interior of a house, doing like just like basic like home remodeling. And I get a call from my agent and was like, okay, a team from Ireland wants to speak to you. And I'm like, well, when? He's like, well, the owner is about to call you in like 5 minutes. So I'm like, oh shit. Like, all right. And so we talk on the phone, and they speak, good, clear English, Irish
Yeah.
accent all the way, like stereotypical. And he was like, well, and I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday they called me, and they wanted me to play in that game on a Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so he calls me. and was like, "Well, how how close are you to New York?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's like a day and a half drive or
Like,
like a flight." Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, well, we want to fly you out of New York on Thursday." And I'm like, "Holy crap." And so I literally packed all my stuff up, got my stuff together, said bye to like as many people as I could within those like 2 days. And then I went, and that situation, I don't want to be super long winded on it, but it just wasn't good. I texted Jack about it a bunch. And while I was over there, the team wasn't, I mean, the team just wasn't a pro club, and they
right.
were the quality of players and the coaching, it just wasn't what I was expecting to go over and do. And so it's just kind of one of those things where like I waited so long for something to happen, and it finally comes and you think, oh, it's my big break, whatever. And then it kind of just like falls on its face. And so you pick up from there and you learn from it. And, I'll grow and continue to do what I'm doing. And, maybe this summer coming around, something else happens. And if not, then it's all right.
And yeah, if I can give a little backstory on my friendship with Cam, I don't think he's given himself enough credit. Cam's the best athlete I knew growing up. Everyone knew the last name Scales, the Cameron Scales
Yes.
name. And, our relationship was like Cam was the star athlete, but like he ran with the rest of us who was like I was the second string center on football. Cam wanted me to be but I wasn't. And then like basketball, like so all the coaches are looking at us like we're the bad influence on him and stuff like that. All just funny stuff. Like I'll never forget this time. I was always front row of the super fans for basketball, and Cam blocks this kid and comes over and like gets on his chest like right in front of my face, and Landwehr just immediately pointed him to the bench, and like
Oh
just little
no.
shit like that is just so funny. But yeah, like honestly, like best like sports mind I know in terms of like no, just another quick story like football. Eureka kept running this same fucking pass across the middle, and he's standing behind Coach Voss, and he's like, they're gonna run that again. They're gonna run that again. He's like, I'll call the defense, and Cam's like, all right, and they run it again. So, if down the line, I think Cam should definitely look at being a coach. That's always been my thought. But
No, Cam, that's what I'm saying too. Is like you were always an athlete, and like you said, you were rising through the ranks as my 2 minutes per game were already evaporating. So you jumped in, and I kind of saw you grow as like you talked about
Yeah.
it. You were a sophomore, playing with your brother Evan, who we love. We've had on the podcast too, talking business, and it's
Mhm.
like, and then I kind of graduated, and then you took off, right? But it shows really a lot about your character too, how you were willing to say you took that leap of faith, at least went and got that experience, even if it wasn't a great experience overseas. And like you said, you live and learn.
Right. And I appreciate that because even a lot of people will tell me, and I'm sure you get it so much that's so funny, but like people will be like, "Oh my God, did you have a podcast? How do I start? Or how do I do this? Or what should I get? And what should I talk about?" And it's like you just you just got to do it.
Right.
Like you got to do it, and that's kind of the thing with my basketball career. Kind of like I was explaining, like when I went to Lindenwood, it wasn't on a basketball scholarship. Like I was going to Lindenwood to play football, and
Mm-hmm.
Scott Manziera puts in a good word to the assistant coach that he knows well. So I show up 2 weeks out of a football season at a tryout on a Friday at 9 a.m. and they're like, okay, roll out the ball and do some work. And then one of the kids on the team, who's like the second leading scorer, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna play him 5-on-5?" After I'm like dog tired. And I remember I won one of the spots, and then he beat me on like the rest of them because I was so tired. But after that little tryout, I went to that practice later that day and literally never looked back. And
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of just took it into my own hands after like some health things that didn't go my way that, just were unfortunate, whatever. I just kind of had to look at myself in the mirror and be like, you got to do something. And if you want to make something of yourself with your sports career, it's gonna just be up to you. There's no coach in my ear. There's nobody in my ear to tell me, to keep going. Everybody was like, "Well, you've done enough. You've been through enough. You can hang it up." But I just wanted to have that fulfillment at least.
Yeah, it's crazy. I did not know that about the injuries too, and that's tough. That's something that's basically out of your control. Is like ended up hindering you a little bit.
yeah, he that's actually a huge part. I mean, the dude snapped his leg. I'll never forget it at like one of our like the jamboree, like the football scrimmages. And like, I mean, it got so bad that it got like infected, right? Like they were
Mm.
like,
So sophomore year when I broke my leg, that was soft. So like Dilly, if you remember, I didn't really even practice that much coming into that sophomore year. And I think I missed the first game. And then like halfway through that season, I played literally on one leg. It was terrible.
Mm.
I ended up needing surgery actually in college. After my freshman year, I ended up needing surgery on my left leg um, because of some infection. But that had been caused by just like I don't even know what it had been caused by. But I ended up having three surgeries on my femur in 2016 in like July, September, and like November. And so that kind of like wiped me out. And so I really like wasn't even in school. So a lot of people ask me like, how the hell are you still in school? I'd be like, dude, there was like a semester or like a whole year in a semester where like I wasn't even taking like 6 or 7 credits like a
Yeah.
semester. I had the extra time and shit happens, but
Sure.
and bounce back from it. But yeah, that's kind of like a big pivot in my life right there was that like summer 2016.
And you also, I mean, speaking of taking another leap, like you're into podcasting now too. You've
Yeah.
got the setup, you've got the voice. I've checked out your stuff, your clips, your podcast looks great. I think I've got this right. It's Pop Culture Playbook, which I
Yeah.
love for a name.
I appreciate
So find that on Instagram and TikTok, and then it's Cameron.scales on Instagram and Cameron_scales on Twitter for all those hot takes you like, right? Talk about the podcast a little bit, Cam, and what you've done with that.
the podcast it's been great. It's actually been one of the more fun things that I've gotten into myself in the past like year because I probably started the podcast with my friend Justin, who obviously he was on here for a bunch of episodes. And the thing is about podcasting that I love so much is that it's just you and you have so much control over it. And whatever you want to do with it, just do it. And I find myself like not being able to engage in a lot of things outside of sports only because just the sensitivity that you do have to have for certain things. And, I don't want to jump on something that, I don't have that much knowledge on. And I just, spit something out there and it just kind of makes me look ignorant. But I mean, one day, as far as like how I started, I was just always a podcast listener. Like,
Right.
I will enjoy watching podcasts. I listen to them. I could go a whole day without listening to music and just listen to podcasts all day. It's fine with me. And so I just like one day I was just like, maybe I could just try it. And after I got over the fact of how my voice sounds and hearing it recording back, I kind of was just like, all right, this actually isn't too bad. In the first probably year that I was podcasting, I didn't even do video. I didn't even think about it. I was just like, let me perfect just trying to like find my voice and my cadence and how I talk and all of this stuff. And so I really just am in the process of trying to perfect it. And I'm never gonna perfect it, but if I can just be a little bit better at everything, a little bit better with my clips, a little bit more engaging with my content, because I can talk about one incident for 3 minutes, but I know I can't post a 3 minute clip. And
Right.
so I'll try to record something for like a minute and a half or maybe even 2 minutes and cut it down to a minute or even cut it down to like 45 seconds. And that's pretty much been the biggest challenge for me because I love editing. That's almost more fun than being in front of the camera. I almost think being behind it and producing and editing all that stuff is actually more fun. And so getting better at that is always going to be a challenge because I'll see videos on YouTube and guys are using all these color schemes and all this stuff. And I'm just like, damn, like what the hell? As I keep doing it, I find myself using those same type of like transitions or effects or different just styles of making clips. Like some clips would just be of me talking, and then like the last clip I had of when I was talking about the World versus USA and All Star game, it was like a bunch of clips, and I could see how different screen changes and like different types of stuff and engagement is just a little bit different than just us talking. And so that's kind of like my biggest challenge. And I want to go back to just audio because I think that's just the most pure form of podcasting is just, not the editing, not, a whole bunch of topics, but being able to have a concise conversation that, is not all over the place and within 30 to 45 minutes. That's kind of like what I originally like doing.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too. I mean, it's crazy. The space, I love being creative. You said it. I like it just being you and the audience. I also like bringing in and talking to people. Yeah, like I imagine like just looking back at my first thing ever, I would probably cringe, you
Oh,
know.
oh, I think the first time Just and I were even doing like we're recording, shit, I think we really just hit press record on GarageBand and just like no voice editing, no nothing, just like. And I'll look at some of the videos even or that like I posted or edited that I thought was so cool, and I'm like, what? Like what the hell?
We got to repost the first ever edition of the Tea with Jack D. I think that you remember that, Jack. That was golden.
That was like a fucking minute rundown, just me like yelling up against the
With the Loves hat on.
Yeah.
We might have to bring that back for a little throwback. All right, so let's get into some guest hosting then. Us three will bring you through all of our tomfoolery here on Winging It. Okay, so Tea with Jack D coming up, some bonus NBA. An 85-year-old woman was dragged and killed by an alligator while she was walking her dog in Florida. Okay, bro. First of all, this is crazy. I don't know if I could go. Are we retiring in Florida? You're supposed to go there to escape and longeviate, extend your life, not put it in danger walking your dog.
That's the most Florida thing I've heard all week.
Literally. Yeah, that's like, I mean, maybe just like don't go near the water, like walk near the water as an 85-year-old woman. Like it's probably not the same as it is.
Walking their dogs?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, how can you avoid it too? You see some of those TikToks where it's like, it's just, guys coming up to these freshwater, just kind of, just puddles, and then something will pop out. I'm more of Arizona for my retirement than Florida, if I had to choose, I guess.
Yeah, that whole like swamp, jungle, forest, all those like wild animals living next to you. That's not peaceful living to me. I'm sorry. If it's some deer running around the woods, that's fine. But no, I can't do all that. Like, there's just no way I can't do it.
Not swamp. It's like the South. It's almost, I remember driving down to PCB and it's like, you finally get into the boonies a little bit and you're like, where am I?
Yeah.
Which we learned a little bit more with the Murdaugh mysteries, which I finally finished, Jack. Do you have any thoughts on the trial, which is ongoing? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, like you could see the Southern knit town, Outer Banks is super viral again with the new season. It's just crazy. The South in general to me.
Well, so first off, were you a little more intrigued as you went on, or were you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like it's a lot of buildup, but it does kind of make sense. Like they literally give you the backstory. It's kind of crazy that they like were able to interview every person that was on the boat and their parents. Like,
right, exactly.
Cam, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's like this big.
I was reading a little bit about it
it's crazy. This family has like run this town for like centuries basically. And like, but I've been watching Dylan. I watched like the prosecutor's cross-examination of him. And like, it's pretty.
Is he toast? Like, what's going on in court right
dude,
now?
Well, he's like a lawyer. So like he's finessing up there. And he's like, I'm watching a breakdown on TikTok of like some like person like analyzing like his body movement and like what he's saying. And like, he does all this little shit. Like he refers to his son, whose name is Paul, as Paw, and his wife Maggie as Mags in the entire deposition, but not once to any law enforcement, to any tape, any recording they have of him. He never called them by that. So like he's doing
calculated.
He's trying to play on the emotions of the jury. It's like just super interesting.
Damn. I feel like the law is going to get away from that somehow, because he's a finesser.
Yeah. I mean, he's been finessing forever.
Yeah. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I feel like it was, a year ago where we were all into Depp v. Heard, but now we've actually got the Murdaugh murders.
Yeah. Cam, I would suggest watching that if you have any free time. It's really interesting.
3 episodes on Netflix, not bad. We can't catch a break. This guy's taken everyone. Pete Davidson and Ice Spice.
We just saw that yesterday. What?
This man, I mean, first of all right. So again, color me a newbie here. So who's Ice Spice? There's all this. I kind of checked out at Nicki Minaj, I guess, on the women's side of rapping, but Glorilla's popping off now too. I mean, it's a whole nother game.
You missed out. If you checked out Nicki Minaj, you definitely have missed out a lot. You're probably really familiar with Cardi B, of course, but like after those two,
Yeah.
it's like cluttered with a whole bunch of just like whatever. And Ice Spice had like one really like viral song, and she's got this orange like these orange curls that like everybody loves. They look great, honestly. I won't lie, they do. It's just unique, and so she just is on the Bronx drill scene and all that. But I mean,
Huh.
Pete shooting percentages got to be shooting 50, 40, 90.
Yes. No, he legit is. And it's like he's picking his spot. You know, who's got more Riz? Is it Jack Harlow or Pete Davidson? Because they're both.
Who was he sitting courtside with at the Knicks game? Emma, what's her name?
Yeah.
Oh, Radachowski. Yeah, Radachowski
Yeah.
or whatever.
I think he just like picks the most viral like girl and probably is like, yo, like
that's what I'm saying. Like he's picking viral people where people are gonna be like, holy shit, he's on to who now?
Like yeah, he's like marketing himself through who he's like dating or just smashing at the time. And I mean, shit.
Did we see did you guys check out the trailer for White Men Can't Jump with Jack Harlow? What are our thoughts on there? I got a little cheese factor.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I want it to be good, but I feel like every remake of like a classic movie like that is never good. Like it's just like, I don't know.
That's it. That's exactly what
Space Jam wasn't that. I didn't even see that, but I heard that wasn't.
I didn't even want to see that because it's just, I don't know. Not that it's like I don't want to see LeBron like corny act. It's just the sequel is just never it. Like it's like what was the huge? There was a huge deal. I remember about like was it Lion King 2? It was supposed to be like the movie ever. Like it came out and everybody was like, "Who gives a shit?"
No, that's a great point.
But like White Man Can't Jump, the original is awesome.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
How about, not to totally divulge or divert, but how about Woody Harrelson just going on a SNL kind of conspiracy theories spree this past Saturday?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, you should look it up. It was just like, I mean, I don't even know what to believe anymore because now you've got parts of our government saying, yeah, it was a lab. Yeah, you know, Fauci, Wuhan.
Yeah.
Confusing. But Woody Harrelson stoked the fire a little bit, so maybe check that out if it interests you. Last thing for me, a little mind fuck, a little twisted mind here. I hope this doesn't offend anyone. You never know if it offends in this day and age. But if you were a chick, okay, us three, if we were, a female, would you do OnlyFans?
Holy, I did not know that's where this was going.
I mean, we hit the hard pressing topics here.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so I would say no, but I understand why girls are doing it because
I mean, here's my thought process, I guess, into this is like, okay, I think there's a lot of factors. Are you in a relationship? But then there's some relationships where you look at, it's like Steve will do it, where it's like, okay, that's fine. It's not like you're just showing off yourself. It's like if you were dating a model, like dating a Victoria's Secret model and she shows off in a magazine. This is just the new age of that, But then there's like DMs and you get these creeps and, it can't feel good if it's got to be tough on a boyfriend, no matter what scenario, right?
If you're a boyfriend in that scenario, do you make the content with them? Do you like
True. Yep. No, there's extra things that could go in there too. And I guess we should also say, I guess we also have the ability to start an OnlyFans as males.
I mean,
but
your girlfriend is doing an OnlyFans, I better be seeing some sort of like royalties from that. I'm not
but that's a great point too.
I mean, I like it. I mean, they make so much. Some of them make so much fucking money that like I can't hate on that. Like that's fucking insane.
Yeah, she started doing OnlyFans, and I'm like, yeah, you probably should.
Yeah,
and like if you getting your bag, like why turn down money? I can understand it, but then again, it's like, all right, what if I have a daughter and it's like, she comes to me, hey, should I? There's an opportunity here, but I was just like, come on, my friends are, my 40-year-old friends can be like, hey, did you check the updates today?
But I will say, like, for me personally to do it, what I would consider which really shows how creepy guys are there's girls that have OnlyFans and they don't even go like full on, like they don't even
stealing
show
money.
anything. And they're just getting. It's like, all right, I'm in. Like,
Yeah, and then
do that. Yeah.
you can women can like charge just for like personal messages, and it's just there's so many like different paywalls to see, and it's just like I know girls that I know that like you walk past if you went out and they have OnlyFans and they charge like 25 dollars a month for like swimsuit pics, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it works. I can't hate it. I mean, it works. So it's like I don't know.
like if someone wanted to see my ugly ass feet, I'd start Feet Finder tomorrow. Like straight up. Like
Yeah.
that's a hustle.
Yeah, I guess that's the most shock. Like, that's the shocking thing is like there is a model for it, like, and it's lucrative from what we've seen.
What is
Um,
what are the tax ramifications on that?
I think these people are just so pumped. Before, girls were sending you nudes on Snapchat. Now they're getting money for those, and people are subscribing.
I bet it's probably like you're like a 1099 like sports gambling. You have to report your winnings. It's probably like income tax, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, just food for thought there. That's it out of me. I've been binging you, Jack, in terms of suggestions. I love Penn Badgley. It's just an easy watch, but I'm on season 4, and it's like, what is he gonna stalk someone new every?
Oh, you
every
just got to
season?
season 4.
Yeah, a couple episodes in. I'm like,
Okay, they at least went a little bit
switch
of
it a little bit, yeah,
like a different story a little bit, but end of season 4 is part 1 is great. Like part 2 comes out in next the 9th.
Yep, and coming in March. It's a perfect 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Like just easy watch.
And you can watch it with like your significant other too. They enjoy it usually. So
Penn Badgley went from Gossip Girl and then to this, right? Yeah, he's a good actor, I think.
Beginning, Jack. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on. We were on Gossip Girl. Dude, straight
Jack's
up.
on everything, but he is the guy we go to for all suggestions. And
best actor on that show by far, actually.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, he
And they didn't tell him until he said they didn't tell him until the very like last couple screen readings that he was going to be Gossip Girl.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, cause they could have taken it in like any direction the way they had it. But, yeah, it's just interesting. He's like really good at playing fucking like.
Call back to like the new Gossip, whatever the hell they have now. Trash. I watched like 2 minutes of it. I'm like, yeah, this is bogus. These are like knockoff, like Charles Bass. I'm like, all right.
Dude, that 90s show. Oh my God.
How I Met Your Father.
Oh,
the sequels.
Yeah. It's Hillary Duff is the chick on How I Met Your Father, like How I Met Your Mother. But yeah.
And I heard it's brutal. I haven't checked it out, but yeah.
That 90s show, that's got to be the worst television ever. Holy. I don't even. Mm-mm.
All right.
All right, let's get into some tea, and then we'll wrap up with some NBA. Cameron Scales with us here, having some fun on Winging It.
All right. So Kodak Black was in court today because he violated parole because failed the drug test, tested positive for fentanyl, which is a whole nother like, whoa, like what are you doing? But shows up to court in an all pink suit. And then before court starts, he walks up to the judge's stand because she has like a little bowl on there. And he's like, can I have a Jolly Rancher?
Dude, I'm still weak at when he was apparently having sex in that booth or in that box at the Florida Panthers game. Remember that viral moment? And then he ended up that he was just grinding. he's doing all shit.
Yeah, like what's up with him? I saw a video of him at a basketball game the other day with him and his boy, and they're like the dreads were like super, and it said these two dudes look like they're unfrozen cavemen because he's like because it was like Kodak Black passing his friend popcorn is so wholesome because they were like laughing together eating popcorn.
Do you guys fuck with Kodak's music more times than I feel like I did more in college? But.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Back when it was like turn up time for sure. I think he's so young. He's like 22, 23. So it's like seeing where he projects 5 years from now, I don't know, but I think he's better out of the newer artists who aren't that great.
I like it.
Yeah, I like the classics like Roll in Peace and all that stuff.
That was like his I feel like the height of his popularity, but like you said, he could come back again just as strong.
Right. Yeah.
Zendaya cop in the bag negotiating $1 million an episode for season 3 of Euphoria.
Don't we have to? I was just thinking, like, I'm running out of shows. We need Barry back. We need Euphoria back. Like, we need some good shit back.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just thinking, like, we're gonna have to wait for Euphoria, right? Because she's filming Dune. Like, yeah, she's making just smart plays, getting that back.
What did you guys think of season 2 of that? Because I have some interesting kind of takes on that season, by the way. But go ahead, Jack.
I thought I liked it. I
Yeah.
definitely like season 1 the best, but
Basically the same for me.
yeah.
My thing is with season 2, I think season 1 was so great, and not only did like the music like style genre that they like kind of introduced and would play like for their intros and like
Oh
how they
yeah.
I think that season 1 was so successful that season 2 was just felt more about like the aesthetics of the show instead of like an actual storyline. And so as you're watching it, you're just kind of like, okay, you're waiting for character development, you're waiting for more stuff to just happen, or more, not even more drama, because I mean, it's still like high school, whatever, but
Yeah.
no character development as far as like, I don't know. I just would like to see in season 3 that they get more into Zendaya's character Rue as like just more, and there's relationship with her mom and her sister and just all of, I just would like to see more of a storyline than just aesthetics and cool lighting. You know what I'm
You
saying?
want to see Rue figure it out one day too. I don't
Yeah.
want her to be fucked up forever.
It's one of those shows. Silicon Valley was like this in the way where it was like it purposely. Entourage was a lot like this too, where it's like it pissed you off because it's like, dude, Vinny, what are you doing? You know, it's like, come on, you want him to do one thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's again. I thought the music was better in season 1. Season 2, the one episode I really loved was the scene where she was just like coming off the drugs, kind of withdrawal, and she's just running and everything's hyper like that. I thought they directed that really well. Yeah, it's always funny when that dude, what is it, Barry Levinson trends. Twitter's funny whenever he's trending for something.
I did really like the first episode of season 2 when she's like in the fucking, they have like the old like rock Steely Dan plan, and she's like in the drug dealer's house, and she's,
oh my god, and the play episode, like, yeah, I don't know, it's season 2 I still liked.
You know, they directors, whoever is in charge of directing all that, their ideas are all amazing and they capture them really well. But like you said, I just feel like, I don't know, like you could watch Euphoria through Twitter and see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Like they kind of just wanted a bunch of just moments in their season instead of just actual like making a good following TV show.
but I fucking love Fez and Ashtray. They're the homies.
Correct.
Would you hear that story that he's like wanted in LA right now for a hit and run or something
Yeah,
like that?
I
really?
Yeah, the actor is like, yeah, but he's actually like the way he talks, like he's like from like straight, like apparently he's like some casting director saw him on the street and was like, "You would be perfect for this role," and gave him a number. And he's like, "I thought it was a scam."
I always hear that shit. It's like, wait, Kanye did that to Big Sean. I was like, okay, great. Where are people finding us here? Okay.
Next thing I had was, what do we think of the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight?
Oh, I didn't. Speaking of following things on Twitter, that's how I did that for that. Basically, I loved it. It was, Ariel Helwani was kind of like, "Oh no, that's all Fury," and then I'm like, "Oh shit, Fury's winning." Until Skip Bayless goes, "I have round 2 to Jake Paul." Everyone's like, "What?" He's just on Jake Paul's nuts, as was apparently the whole announcing crew. But yeah, I thought Paul was going to win, but I guess there really was that tough switch into professional boxing where it's like, okay, he could go back and fight KSI. They'll probably do a huge number and be entertaining, but Fury just outboxed him,
What do you think this does for his like pro boxing? Because he made a bunch of money from that fight, I guess. But like, what does that do for like his future opponents? Do you think like people don't care anymore? Do you think people still want to see him like progressively keep fighting better people?
See, I thought him losing would, and now the dust is settled, and I just don't think people care. Like, I think the news cycle is he'll do something else. He'll fight KSI. He'll fight Salt Poppy. He'll do something. I love Salt Poppy, by the way. Yeah. He might be the new guy.
Yeah, he had that interview with Bomani Jones and was like,
it's like, dude, Bomani was right. He was right.
I think also a lot of people were like, I can't wait till he loses so we can never care about him again. But I feel like he's just gonna pop back up in an entertaining fight and talk shit.
he's got a rematch clause too. So it's like, I don't know. I guess a lot of people Sunday afternoon, like after a UFC fight on Saturday, I think people thought it was boring, but then maybe 50% of people were like, oh, I'd do that again.
What do you guys think about Floyd fighting on, I think it was Zeus here coming up pretty soon? What do you guys think about that?
I just saw an article where Floyd is basically just fighting in front of like sparse crowds, all these exhibition matches. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're the greatest ever. Why do you need money that bad?
Like rich investors who just want to, it's kind of like the way that like Ronaldo is, they like want to just see like Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia. They kind of just want to see Floyd box. They're going to give him, he's probably making 50 million and is probably going to like take a huge ownership of like Zeus and have it on there. But like, I don't know. I just think, I don't know, his legacy, I just feel like he could go out a little bit better than that.
No, agreed. No one goes out gracefully, though. It's like, even like for broadcasters, like Al Michaels, I still think is great, but you could, like, he's a legend, but you could tell now he doesn't even want to be there anymore. I mean, he likes the paycheck, but he gets a crap game. That dude is checked out, and it does a disservice to the fans. Like, throw Gus Johnson in there. We'll get the greatest goddamn Thursday night football game ever.
Travis Scott said to be dropping his new album Utopia in June. What do we think about that? We think that'll be good. Cam, what do you think?
Astroworld came out in 2018, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think now officially, I think everyone's kind of over that incident that happened at that festival, which obviously was still unfortunate, but I feel like he was ready to release music probably right around that time, or maybe even like some months after, but the world was just not going to let that happen. But I think it's good. I think it's going to be a good album. He's got a cult fan base, so it's like,
I think you hit it right on the head. I really liked him on Metro Boomin's latest album, so that kind of gave me a little preview to like, all right, I think he's back. And like you said, he did. Outside of that one random interview he did in the public eye, which was just terrible, he kind of laid low.
Yeah. And that's kind of how that's his persona. That's kind of who he is. You don't really hear about Travis Scott doing much else besides being Kendall or Kylie Jenner's boyfriend and
a father of two now, right?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. He's working
double time. Fucking slaps. So
that album still sounds good. So
agreed.
Live Golf premiered on the CW with only like 100,000 viewers. What do we think about that?
I was one of them.
Please go tell me everything you love or hate about Live, because I just want to hear your opinion on it.
I mean, it's just God. I was thinking about it. Because I love golf, so I had both. I was watching both tournaments all weekend, kind of. I checked into Live a little bit. I mean, their leaderboard is all over the place. It's interesting. I get what they're trying to do, where they do shotgun starts, where it's literally everyone starts on a separate hole and then everyone's rounds over at the same time. I don't know. It's like, and again, I was watching the broadcast and I'm like, is there a soul there? I don't think there was anyone there in this Mexico event they did. It came out in court documents. They're making no revenue. They had a lot of steam, but now I think it's starting to fizzle out. PGA Tour, here's what it's not the end all be all, but when the guy that wins the tournament is trending on Twitter for a sport as mundane, and as boring as golf, that knows that, the PGA Tour is doing all right when this happened this past weekend with Chris Kirk of all people, and no one talked about Live, even though those guys got paid.
Right.
I've heard that some people want to come back too.
Yeah, Koepka is rumored wants to come back. If that starts happening, it's over. They'll fold.
What are the proceedings for guys that want to come back? Are they just like shunned by like PGA Commission, or they just don't like? They're just like
as of right now, that's kind of the unspoken word. But I think they would love to take back DeChambeau, Koepka.
You think he's gonna get all of his money, or do you think he's just gonna be like?
That's when you get in the guaranteed contracts and shit, Yeah, I don't know.
That's wild. Well,
all right. Last couple things before sports. We haven't gotten to some sports, but let's keep going. Thought this was interesting. LA had its first blizzard warning for the first time since 1989. That's insane to me. I didn't even know it ever snowed there.
So a quick story: when I was out in Cali, and 2017, I was out there for like 10 months, and I could probably count on my hands how many times it even rained. When I was out there, it had been 4 or 5 years since they had ever even seen snow. And that where I was at was like 45 minutes east of LA. And so I saw somebody on Instagram and they were like, it was like a bunch of people just like playing in the snow, like they didn't know what to do. Everybody's freaking out, but like they loved it because it just never happens. But that's crazy.
Did they handle it well? Because I'm imagining we hear all the horror stories from Dallas, of whenever it gets something there, it just shuts down the city. But I imagine something similar with LA.
People in St. Louis can't handle a little speed on
STO.
the freaking highways. Dude, those people out in Cali are like shut down school, they shut down everything. The businesses are closed. Like
Right.
they don't know what to do.
Yeah. All right. Last thing I had, all that talk of Biden student loan forgiveness. It's now in
Oh,
the fate. It's now in the fate of the conservative Supreme Court.
this is
So
this is
y'all are fucked now, or what
Yeah,
happened?
they're
Yeah.
not. They're not going to pass that. There's no way. Like that's just not a conservative viewpoint. So
That's such a blue ball.
I know that he like
Yeah.
stood on a leg with that.
dude,
But
I that's the thing. I think Biden won a lot of people over with that. I don't
Mhm.
think that was the majority reason, but I mean, it's just like we're forgiving all these student loans, but it's like now everybody's gonna just repay them back with like higher taxes and more stuff. So it's just like I get it, and I get why you want to wipe all that stuff out because it would do a lot of people some favors. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
But
yeah, like you,
also, what it would do, because I know, and I'm trying to work on this. I'm trying to be more money conscious and bring back spending. But like, if, say I all of a sudden got debt forgiveness, I would be like, all right, shit, what should I buy today? It's like, all right, I got a little wiggle room. What do we, golf simulator? All right. And then that would just fuck up inflation.
yeah. All right. And then the couple of things I had to watch on Netflix: Murdoch Murders Doc, new season of Outer Banks, and then the Full Swing PGA thing is sweet.
Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. I just finished it, actually.
so
It's
the
great.
full swing thing is that like kind of like what F1 did with
Literally made by the same F1 people, but
Famous.
it's super cool. Like they dive deep into some cool stuff.
They do. I almost liked, so I really liked the first episode because they talk about live too, or the first couple episodes. And it's like, I watch all these tournaments too. So I was kind of like, I care a little bit more about the golf action than like the interviews, so to speak. It's like Mito Pereiro. I'm like, okay, do I really need to know everything about Mito? So I was kind of like flipping around, but overall, great series.
First episode with JT and Speed though is fucking
Yes. Oh, that was great. I watched that all the way through. That was
that one.
fantastic.
I did see that one. Yeah, that's the one I did see. Oh, yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
look, there's something on Netflix that was like super. But yeah, that's just cool.